Peace, family. Welcome to another addition to another topic of discussion. So, peace. Check in real quick. I know I had to make this video quickly. I'm trying to keep my clothes on. I'm making jokes. You guys joke about that. So check on it really quick. I know I'm on. Hi, Eric. Hey, Entitled Sensei. Check on in. Good day. I never say good morning because there's zero we should be mourning about unless there's something that you're dealing with. Hey, Pure Beauty. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Giselle. Priscilla, Desiree, Tabitha. Hey, Carlos. Hey, from Montana. Montana's in the house. I never shout you out, Montana. Hey, Loyalty. Hey, Nora. That girl, Fiji. I like that name, Figgy. Margaret. Miss Candy. Okay, so I'm going to kind of get into this really quick. I think I've known about this for years, being in the horticultural community, also being more in the naturopathic lifestyle. And it's something I wanted to kind of let you know if you didn't know already. So, as you know, I'm a bit of a food Nazi, a nutritional Nazi, meaning that I read a lot of labels. I make a lot of my own foods and, supplies at home, detergents. That's how I get down. Hey, Baron. Hey, Femk. Over the years, I've found something. You just moved to Mount Vernon? I just moved from Mount Vernon. You just moved from Mount Vernon, pure. Oh, to Vegas? Oh, what a move. What up, Eric? So listen. Hey, Lachelle. There is a diet. It's been in works, and now that you've risen in your level of self-awareness, and this message can come through easier based on the fact that many of you are already surpassed a certain parasitic level, and also you've surpassed. I know I'm in Florida. It's a little dismal today, but that's okay. I love when it rains because I don't have to. When it rains, I love when it rains because all my plants love the water. So I love when it rains because all my plants get their water without me having to artificially add water to them. I'm a fan of rain. Some people don't like it, but those who grow their own food and plants, you know what it is. We're so happy when it rains. I get excited. I'm like, yes, rain, so my flowers grow and bloom. I love it. Anyway, I'm sidebarring. So listen, we have food culture. And all this to say is, my disposition at this point and why this message can be allotted to you and you can be more receptive to it, as the fact of the matter is that, oh, it's sunny in Fort Lauderdale. I'll be there soon, Carlos. You can obtain information based on the fact that your synapses are allowing you and your codons are releasing, so this information can come easily and effortlessly to you. So that being said, we live in food culture. Every society has a food culture. You go to South America, they have their food culture. It's cold in the Netherlands have their own food culture. You go to Italy, we know and we're exposed to the food culture because we know it, because it's perpetuated and it's projected and it's promoted. Like most people know, if you go to Italy, you eat a lot of saucy foods, rich in carbohydrates, a lot of pastas. You go to France, you eat a lot of bread, a lot of butter. Okay, you go to you go to Puerto Rico, you eat a lot of rice and beans. Dominican Republic too, you eat a lot of plátanos. We know culture based in different arenas. Like every area has its own food culture. But what you may not realize, I have somebody texting me, I have a siren. Big up to the siren. We have a siren on the loose, and I just had a meeting with her. Beautiful siren. She will be hopefully we will hopefully be utilizing her to do things for us in the future. Many of the sirens are coming online. As I've told you, sirens are being assigned to some of these diabolical patriarchies that still won't go. So they are doing well for us. So big up to the sirens. And I just had a meeting with one. She's fabulous. She is quite what is needed at this time. Anyway, so I always sidebar. So anyway, so food culture does a lot for you to eat. It makes it promotes for you to eat in a certain way. It allows for you to it conditions you to have a certain type of a nutritional pattern. It doesn't matter if the patterns or the trends change. It will always still be in the same perpetuating mode of whatever the agenda is for each country, for each ley line. They all have their form of food culture, which is based in mind control. Yes, family. The issue is that I'm going to allow you to understand this. Some of you already know. Maybe this is a conversation that you already know. Maybe we're just talking about it together. But starch is one of the food cultural aspects of the United States of America. United States of America. Let me make sure I speak. Starches. If you don't know what starches are classified as complex carbohydrates, where many sugar molecules are bonded together. Okay, I think I'm right. Yeah. They're complex carbohydrates where many sugar molecules are bonded together. That's what a starch is. Now, for all my old schoolers, who come from different arenas, if you know, back in the day, some of my Latino family know this already because you still do this in like Dominican Republic, in parts of Honduras, in Panama, in Puerto Rico. Your parents still, I don't know, whoever irons. You know when you iron, you spray starch on your clothes? You know why a lot of the men like to spray starch on their shirts, their business shirts? You know why, right? Because it stiffens it. It allows it to be crisper. Listen to what I said. The starch, when you spray it, stiffens it. Now for mommies, for all my mommies out there who have little people, some of us, we do experiments. Like I do scientific experiments with my little ones. Remember, I come from the science field and I love doing this with my little ones. If anyone makes slime, for all our mommies and daddies out there who little ones who like to make slime. Slime is a big fun thing. So little people do it in school, right? So when you make slime, you usually add glue and water. But one of the main ingredients when you're making slime is to add what? Starch. Starch will stiffen and make it a little tighter, a little more, and if you add too much starch to your mix to make your slime, it will just become petrified and too stiff. Listen to me, family. Starches, people who consume a lot of starches are rigid in their thought patterns. It causes rigidity in your mind thinking, meaning that you are rigid in your thought patterns. You are, you have stiffening you're stiff in the way that you think. You're stiff. People who consume a lot of starches in cultures like in Latin America, where there's a lot of rice and beans, because beans has a lot of starch. I'm gonna tell you the quantity of how much starch, and it will bug you out. That they are mind controlling you via your food culture that is being perpetrated to you, because many of you go out and eat French fries every day. Potatoes is high in starch. Many of you make gratin potatoes. A lot of the food in the United States of America, if you hear when they say meat and potatoes, the culture is based in starches. A lot of rice and a lot of beans and a lot of potatoes. Listen to me, family. I'm going to go deeper. Why are they perpetrating this to you? Because it disallows you from expanding, and it stiffens your mode. It not only stiffens your body, because cultural bases, places who have food culture, which are high in starches, which are most places where there are a lot of people who they don't want to wake up, like places in South America, in a lot of the Latin countries, in Ireland. Ireland has a certain bloodline that they, and they eat a lot of potatoes in Ireland. Southeast Asia, in India, because rice in itself was its original form, its heirloom form, because I grow everything. Its original form was actually in South Asia and northern India, Vietnam. Those are the places where the original rice, it's like 15,000, the actually undomesticated version of the rice was actually located. I think it's northern India, southern China, Vietnam, Thailand. Those are the places where the undomesticated rices were from. With potatoes, the original potato that's non-domesticated. Remember, I'm part of the agricultural scene. I know what I'm talking about. You can look it up if you want to, investigate and just, verify what I'm saying is true. The original potato was actually from South America, and it looks nothing like what you're eating today. Okay? So, let's go fast forward. We're living in the United States, and this is not everywhere, because even in South America, we're places where they're eating a lot of starches, rice. Corn is also high in. Corn is also has a higher level. Sweet potatoes are high in. Sweet potatoes are high in starch. It stiffens you. People who eat a lot of starches, complex, and also refined carbohydrates, tend to have issues with having back pains, arthritic type of issues. Most places where people are high in starch are also very short, because it disallows people to grow at a higher, it stultifies their bone growth. So places where you see people eat a lot of rice, if you notice, they're very short. I'm not talking about in Africa, where they have a different grain of rice, and that's not native to Africa. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, if anybody knows any differently, as far as I know, rice is not an originator in Africa, only in Asia. That's why they brought rice to a lot of these places where people were starving in Africa. It also causes a lot of gastric issues as well, because it has arsenic on it. It's one of the reasons I don't mess with any rice. I rarely serve it to my little ones. If they've ever tasted rice, it's rare. It's from family members, and it's very rare that I do. I mess with no rice. It has arsenic. That's why Caribbean people, a lot of West Indian people, tend to wash their rice. My mother did that, and she didn't even know why she was doing it. And I said, Mommy, why are you washing your rice all the time? Because I asked her, and she said, I don't know. That's what we do. We clean our rice. And I said, really? I said, why? I said, what is the reasoning behind it? She didn't even know. You know why? It's because rice has very slight arsenic on it. So it also causes bone issues, and it disallows people to grow at a certain height. That's why places where there's a lot of rice eating, you'll notice people are a lot shorter. Okay? Unless they come from regions where there's a high amount of melanin and they grow a little taller based on the fact that melanin tends to transmute things. Okay? So yeah, a lot of people wash their rice. They don't even know why they're doing it, because there's arsenic on it. It's where West Indians do it. You go to any West Indian, when I say West Indians, like the Caribbean, the Jamaicans, Trinidadians, Martinicans, Bohemians, Dominicans, a lot of people wash their rice. They don't even know why they do it because there's arsenic on it. Nobody knows. That's part of our culture. We've done it for a long period of time. So listen, family, they have you under mind control based on the fact of your food culture and the heightened amount of starch. Now, there's a particular person who eats a lot of starch that I know of. A lot of the cults, let me speak about this. A lot of the cults are also one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of cult members, people who enter into these religious cults, or people who are part of the churches who are fasting. They will have people eat a lot of potatoes during their fast. Listen to me, family. A lot of Christian-based churches, when they're doing their yearly fast, I don't know how they do it. They do it at certain times a year where they encourage fast. They will encourage people to fast, and potatoes is heightened in their regimen during their fast. What starch does is it stiffens, it makes you stoic, and it sits you here where you're not allowed to write. It stiffens your thought patterns. It allows you to be more mind controllable, and it disallows you to expand your thought patterns, anything past what's being promoted or geoengineered visually, what have you. We are living here in the States. Many of our family are from outside of here, and too, if you're eating a lot of starches like potatoes and rice, you already know. But I will give you a breakdown. Okay, so I'm going to give you a breakdown of some of the things that you're eating that you didn't even know have a lot of starch. I'm telling you, we live in a food culture in the United States of America of heightened starches. And it is perpetrated upon you and your children. Every McDonald's, every place that you go, what is the number one thing that they have? They have French fries. It is promoted to you, and you don't even know why it's promoted to you, because it allows you to be stuck, and it disallows you to get out of rigidity in your form of thinking. I'm speaking from the know. Now let me give you numbers, because I like to give you proof with the pudding, right? So I actually wrote something down. Okay, listen. Now, The highest in starchy foods, listen to me, family. You have cassava. Many people from Africa eat a lot of cassava. Cassava is not natural, it's not indigenous to a lot of places. And it's been domesticated, meaning that it's been changed. It's just been genetically modified. Cassava is high in starches. Okay, I'm gonna get a little further in it. Hold on. People, my West Indian, I can tell West Indians when they come because they dress differently. I got West Indian people walking around. Hold on. I'm loud. People come, I'm in Orlando, so people come to visit Orlando. So a lot of people out of different countries come. But I have some West Indians. I could tell they're from either Jamaica or Trinidad by the way they dress. Yeah, that's culture. Cultures you can sometimes see. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to give you numbers, okay? So the highest amount of starchy vegetables, I'll give you first, right? Cassava, taro, green peas, chestnuts, plantains, green bananas, lima beans, pumpkin, sweet potatoes. These are some of the rice, all forms of potato. Okay? Now I'm going to give you the high and refined starches, which is going to bug you out. Listen, family, we're going to have to purge the starches out of our system if we want to rise to a new level of overstanding and understanding. Listen, cornmeal. Now, Latina countries like Mexico, Peru, where else? Panama, Costa Rica, Argentina. Okay, Argentina's not because it's more European based now. Where is Argentina? In Argentina, we used to have more people in Argentina that were more natives, but it's mostly Europeans now that are in Argentina. That's why they look differently than the indigenous Argentinians. So I want to bring them in. So listen. So the more high refined starches. Here we go. Cornmeal, pastas, all pastas. So I'm going to give you numbers with it. Cornmeal has 74% starches, refined starches. Listen to me, family. Cornmeal. A lot of you make corn muffins. A lot of you make things like that. Corn. When you go to the South, a lot of things are made like cornmeal porridge, things like that. That's that high. So it's 74% of refined starches in cornmeal. Rice Krispies, 72%. So if anyone's still eating Rice Krispies, which you shouldn't be eating because there's a lot of metals in Rice Krispies. Keep your babies away from Rice Krispies, please. Pretzels, which bugs me out. Pretzels is 71% refined starches and pretzels. Listen, this is food culture. These are everything that is promoted to you to eat daily. Even your babies, we give them pretzels. That's one of the things. I don't do that. I already told you I mess with spelt, but I'm going to go in deeper. Saltine crackers, 67%. Oats, 57%. Wheat, whole wheat, 57%. Those noodles, like those really cheap noodles. Those cheap noodles are like 56%. 56%. All breads, bagels, and tortillas. All breads, bagels, and tortillas. 40 to 44% refined starches. Rice, 28%. Cookies, 40%. Pastas, 26%. Corn, 18%. Potatoes, 18%. Now, listen, family. You know that having too many starches in your diet, that is one of the reasons why there's a spike in diabetes. That is also what causes heart disease, is too many starches in your diet. But you don't realize that you're eating a high amount of starches and everything. So just like I give you the devils and the demons and the things I talk about, I like to give you the gods and the things that are helpful. I never want to give you the problem without giving you a remedy or telling you what the vaccine is. Okay, so these are non-starchy foods, non-starchy vegetables. Okay, listen to me. Non-starchy vegetable. They're like listening to me. I don't want to close my window. I have some wonderful people of color standing on the other side, and they have a whole family because they're visiting, probably going to Disney, and they're like listening. I'll keep talking. Maybe they'll learn something. Okay, so the non-starchy vegetables. Here we go. Listen. Chinese spinach. I just started growing some of them. It's not as easy to grow Chinese spinach. They require a little bit different pH, so I'm working with that. Chinese spinach, amaranth, artichoke, asparagus. I hope you're writing these things down. Bamboo shoots, which I love. When we go to South America for our Exodus, you know that they do a lot with bamboo shoots. My daughters love it because we do Brazilian places, and they do a lot of bamboo shoots, which is really good for you. Higher mineral content as well. Cabbage, bok choy, all green salads, peppers, radishes, rutabaga, daikon. A lot of West Indians, the Rastas eat a lot of daikon, daikon. Eggplant. Be careful, people of color, working with the nightshades. Nightshades mess with people who have a lot of melanin. So even though I'm giving you this, if you are high in content of melanin, because also mushrooms is on this list of non-starchy foods, people who have melanin or high content of melanin, try to veer away from the nightshades. The nightshades are not meant for us to consume. They mess with your melanin and they cause kinds of acidity in our system. So things like mushroom, you can eat it once in a blue. Like I do mushrooms every once in a blue. I don't do it every day, or I don't do it consistently. And also with nightshades, also they call it inflammation, especially of those people of color. And also eggplant is nightshade, but it's on this non-starchy list. So that's just a warning for those who are people of color. Okay. Leeks, jicama, which is Jicama. A lot of West Indian Rastas eat the jicama. Jicama. Cucumbers, cabbage, mushrooms, okra, squash, sprouts, turnips, and tomatoes. And also know that tomatoes are also considered a nightshade. For those who don't know, tomatoes, and also the tomato has been highly genetically modified. Be careful with tomatoes. Tomatoes are acidic, and especially for some indigenous groups, it's a poison for those from certain bloodlines. So for those people, and it's not all people of color, some people who are lunars have an adversity to tomatoes. So be careful with tomatoes. If you get the black tomatoes, they're less acidic, the dark purple ones. So if you possibly, jicama. Thank you for asking to have me pronounce that. What is it? It's pronounced, jicama. Thank you, Hummingbird and Amar. Jicama. Okay, so a J is like like in the language. Jicama. Thank you. Thank you. Jicama. Does that sound better that I pronounce it? Jicama. Okay. So those are the few that are jicama. Thank you. Jicamam. Thank you. So those are the ones that are lowest in starches and starch content. They don't have any. Those are the ones that you should stay in alignment with. And again, make sure even alongst those, you have to be careful about consuming things depending on your bloodline and your melanin content or your lack of melanin content. Even though we're all different, I accept that we're different. I don't care. But just know that each time we consume things, our ancestors may have or may have not been exposed to some of these types of food. And because of that, our bodies haven't built up enzymes or been able to digest them well. Tomatoes, like I said, for some indigenous, like Cherokee when tomatoes don't work, and most people don't even know they're mixed with a lot of Cherokee. So like Blackfoot don't do well with tomatoes, and tomatoes are one of those things that's highly acidic. So for those people who are from those tribes or from bloodlines from the Cherokee and the Blackfoot, they should stay away from tomatoes. If they do tomatoes, they should do a less acidic form, which is a darker tomato, which is like a purple looking tomato. And you can actually get the heirloom seeds anywhere for those things. So I'm just letting you know. I know. So listen, I had more stuff for you, but listen, anyway, family, I just wanted to make sure you knew, because I knew, first of all, I know cults from the 70s and cults now, where the number one food that they will have people eat, even in churches, will be potatoes. And be mindful that people who are perpetrating that type of, whether they know it or not, are perpetrating for people to eat a lot of starches. Even in the vegan community, those are people that are probably entraining people and keeping them under a form of mind control, whether they know or not, whether it's perpetrated with consciousness or not. It's still something that allows for mind control. And remind you that we are living in food cultures planetarily. Each place has this, and if you notice where there's a lot of indigenous people, you will see a lot more food culture based in foods that entrain people or disallow them by stiffening their mind thought, making them more stoic, by perpetuating foods that stiffen them and, you know, almost like make them slower in momentum, so that they're not able to rise past a point of, you know, mental enslavement. Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to definitely make this video talking about food culture and starch mind control. It is all interrelated, and you have to be mindful right now of the things that you eat. Not only the people that you come in contact with, anything that's around you should be within alignment of your frequency. This video was because if you're here, it was because you're already in alignment with this information. Some of you already knew. And the fact of the matter is, they're perpetrating for you to be all these vegetarian and vegan, but many of you don't know, you become starchitarians. Many of the vegan community, listen, I'm about that life. I came into this life 20 years in. Listen, I've done it all. Family, I'm grateful. And when people ask me at my age, I love saying who and what I am. You know why? Because I've gained that wisdom based in the things I've done. I've done silly things when I was younger, when I was a straight up vegan, and I got sick. I think I told you that. I got really, really sick. I lost all color in my skin. You've never seen, I was like a Michael Jackson, no pun intended. I was like a super Michael Jackson. I had no color in my skin because I was eating things. I wasn't doing starches. I knew about starches back then, but I was eating things without mineral content. I wasn't getting enough vitamins. I wasn't getting enough anything. And I got so very sick. So just in the vegan community, I noticed we have a lot of starch-tarians. I don't want to even call them vegans or vegetarians. They're starch-tarians. All they do is eat potato chips. All they do is eat potato chips all day, French fries, potatoes, rice, and beans. All they do is eat tons of that. And all they are is, and if you notice, a lot of even people like what's his name, Charles Manson. He just passed away, I believe. I think Charles Manson just died. Charles Manson was the biggest vegetarian, and he ate a lot of potatoes. Hitler ate a lot of potatoes. He was a big vegetarian. A lot of your mass murderers are vegans and vegetarians, just to be honest. You don't even know that. And a lot of the cults perpetrate that kind of diet. So whenever you get people who are perpetrating that kind of high in starch, especially whether it's complex or refined starches, you got to be careful. Those starchitarians are going to entrain your mind. And that's a form of mind control. It is culturally based because they're perpetrating it in the states that we're living. Everywhere you go, there's French fries. Go anywhere, tons of pasta and French fries. Every culture that you go to planetarily, you'll see that, especially where there's a lot of indigenous people or people that have a bloodline that they want to suppress. So they will perpetrate pastas, tons of bread. Like I said, France, tons of bread. You go everywhere, you get a baguette. You get a baguette and butter and cheese. Cheese, in a certain degree, you know, for those who are vegetarians, you know, cheeses, you have to be mindful. You can eat more aged cheese as opposed to, you know, newer fresh cheese that has that carrageenan. And also carrageenan is a carcinogen that if you consume too many things with carrageenan, you're going to perpetrate, you know, cysts and things in your breast and growings in your testicles. You know, you got to be careful about carrageenan, especially in toothpaste for your little ones. I know I'm going all kinds of places. Carrageenan, be careful, there's carrageenan in everything. So even when you look at your almond milk, and that's why I tell people not to eat too many nut milks, because later on you're going to cause allergies to it, and you'll have an anaphylactic kind of reaction to it. So you gotta be careful with that. But you'll see carrageenan in a lot of these nut milks. You'll see carrageenan in toothpaste. Nobody notices it because you're not looking for it. You know, when I buy my little people, I told you the one I have, Green Beaver, which is a Canadian company that I've, you know, that I vested out and researched. So I do Green Beaver for my little ones. It's more costly, but it's great for them, and it's carrageenan free. When you buy your toothpaste, make sure it's carrageenan free. When you buy your milks, if you're a vegetarian vegan, make sure it's carrageenan free. If you can't have integrity, if you don't know the integrity of the company, make your own. Making almond milks and all these milks you can make yourself at home. Oh, they're not calling it, oh, they changed the name of carrageenan now. Be careful, because they'll change the name. Once we become up on something, then they start changing the names in foods. So once we become, we start being food Nazis like myself, and we start reading, then they start to change the name of things. So just be very mindful. If you don't understand the name of something, of ingredients in your food, you should not be eating anything or putting anything on your skin, lotion or otherwise, if you can't read every ingredient on it. If you can't read it and you don't know what it is, it shouldn't be on your body and shouldn't be in your body. Okay? So, the Starch-arians in the vegan community. All you get is these people eating potato chips and potatoes all the time because they're getting the sugar. They're addicted to the sugar. They don't realize the complex sugars. It's more molecules of sugars attached to one another. They're addicted to the sugar. That's why people like starch. But at the same point, it is causing you to stiffen your mind thought, and it's a form of entraining your mind to be more available for mind control. Not even so much mind control, but stiffening your thought patterns, meaning that you can't get past a certain point. It's putting a cap on your consciousness. That's what it's doing. So I just wanted to make this video. I hope it was helpful. Many of you knew this already. Yeah, parasites love starch. Anyone who's eating a lot of starch, I would question them. If you're around people, or if you're addicted to, just know what it is. I bet you if you try to take yourself, now listen, when many of you fast, I stopped the fasting because what it does is I did fasting for a couple of years, as you know, every season, and what the fasting did with my body is it made me hold on to weight a little differently. That's why I've cut off the fasting. I just eat properly all the time until my body goes back to a normal homeostasis. But if you notice that if you eat starch, for those who are fasting, who don't drink coffee, who are not addicted to anything, watch when you start fasting what you start craving, you start detoxing. You're like, why am I shaking, and so on, because you didn't realize that you were getting starches in your diet, and you're addicted to the starches because there's sugar. It's combined sugars in one molecule. You get addicted to it. Cheese has a lot of carrageenan. Cheese is another addictive factor. Yeah. Turpentine, with the turpentine thing, you gotta be careful doing, but turpentine helps. If you don't have a sensitive stomach and you don't have any issues with your stomach, that's also something to get rid of parasites, but you be careful with that. That should be done easily. But yeah, you gotta be careful when you do certain things. But the starch, and if you ever notice the starch-arians, I gotta call them, because I told you I came from this life. I've never seen so many starch-arians in my life. I meet people who call themselves vegetarians and vegans, and all they eat is potato chips all day. They're addicted to potato chips and French fries and potatoes. That's all they eat. That's like the staple of their diet is like potato chips. They eat potato chips every day, and they eat potatoes every day. I already know their mindset. That's when I look at somebody who eats potatoes all the time, I already know how limited they are cognitively based on what they're eating. I don't judge anyone, but I know by what they're eating, what they're saying, who they're hanging around, I can tell their level of consciousness and self-awareness. Because if a being is eating tons of potatoes daily, every day, I already know they're really entrained, and they're stiff, and they're stoic in their patterns, meaning that they can't get out of it. They're getting in loops. Like they can't even get out of it, like they're stuck. They will never rise higher than that level because they have a cap on their consciousness. Yeah, so that's why Dr. Sebi, big up to Dr. Sebi. I miss him. He was someone who really, in all communities, was such a pillar to many of us. I mean, many of us would never be where we are to this day if it wasn't for Dr. Sebi. I really have to really, I give honor to him. He was not perfect. People say Dr. Sebi did so much for us. Many people are uneven aware of the amount of contribution this man gave free, because there was a controversy on him charging. He ended up having a community. Yes, you should. He had a facility. He had people come and charge, and a lot of them were celebrities that were coming. He was charging, and regular people too. But he gave a placement. In order to maintain that place, he had to have some income. If you have a facility and you need it ran, and it's a huge enough facility to heal people, he needed income to be able to to be able to maintain that. So there's nothing wrong with him charging, but he gave tons free. He gave us a whole website of what to eat and what not. He gave us tons of lectures. I really have issues with people who say that this man is charging, but these are the same people But these are the same people who will charge people for other things or ask for money. You know what I mean? So big up to Dr. Sebi and those who were influenced under Dr. Sebi, who were trained under the tutelage of Dr. Sebi, and big up to him for giving such gems to us. I'm so appreciative. I honor our one of our elders who held it down, and he tells you he started off sick, and the reason why he was motivated to do better was because he was sick himself. You know, sometimes we come from a place of adversity, and we come from a place of sickness, and that's how we learn to heal ourselves. And then when he healed himself, he was like, oh my God, I want to do it to everybody. And the first thing he will tell you, if you want to get rid of cancer, which is a fungus, cancer is a fungus, all you do is heighten your alkalinity. That's all you do. Cancer is a fungus. It cannot grow in an heightened alkaline body. That's one of the things. So if you feel like you have, you know, anyone who's suffering from cancer, my father passed away from lymphoma, and he lived a long time with it because he had a highly alkaline diet. The only reason he died was because he got chemo, which I didn't agree with, and that's what ended up killing my father. It was not the cancer, it was the chemo that he got. But one of the things that you do, like, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was getting a phone call from my mother, oddly enough. What was I saying? Oh, cancer. One of the things, and I will tell you something that I did. I will give you gems. See, I will give it to you free all day because I don't think it's right to even keep it. With cancer, it's a fungus. It's a fact. The way it looks under the microscope, how you see it in the body, shows up as a fungus. Fungus cannot exist in your body without. And women who have anything with fibroids or anything, stop drinking dairy, stop doing dairy and nuts and all that stuff, and stop doing starches, and the cysts will shrink and go away. That's a fact. And add a little blackstrap molasses to your, if you can tolerate. And if you can't tolerate it internally, put it on top of your tummy or wherever you have fibroids. But the fact of the matter is, if you heightened your alkalinity, the acidity is what feeds funguses, and it feeds the growth of cancer. That's all you do. And I can tell you a secret that I did. It's not a secret. I did with my dogs. I have dogs. I have dogs that are superseded. I have dogs that are in geriatrics age. I've had my dogs for now. One is one dog I have is 19. The other one is one dog is 17. The other is 18. I have dogs. One of my dogs had a seizure, Murphy Lee, which you hear barking all the time. Big up to Murphy Lee. That's one of my dogs. He had a seizure. I do know as dogs age, they do get tumors. They end up getting tumors. So I decided to do something myself. I didn't want to take him in. I'm not getting him euthanized. I said I'm going to heal my dog naturally. I took baking soda. I did this on a series of a couple of days to see what dosage helped. So she had lesions. The other one had lesions as well. They're getting older. So what I did is I added to their water. I have a full fresh supply of water that comes in like a stream in this water disperser, which I love. Many of you have animals, you know this, or dog furry families, you have your dispersers, water dispersers. So I started off with a little bit of baking soda because baking soda heightens up the pH and it raises the alkalinity. So I did this a little bit. I did it at a tablespoon at a time, and I kept raising the amount. As I kept doing it, I saw that the tumors were getting smaller. Murphy got better. He never had another seizure after that. Sheena, who had my other dog, who had a lesion on her buttocks, had a big one, and it was on her skin. As I raised the amount of, I got to a point where I raised it enough, all of the lesions on her body, all of the tumors got smaller, and I can't even see them anymore. That is what I did with baking soda every day in their water. I just did it myself. I did a little at a time. I wanted to see if it bothered them, if it did anything to them. So I added it to their water. It's the same as you as a human being. You take a little baking soda. Some people's tummy can't tolerate it. Sometimes mine can't. But I use baking soda for other things. You can do it topical if internally it doesn't work. Sometimes some people's bodies, that's what I'm saying, this is not for everybody, but I do a little baking soda. No, baking soda it kicks up alkalinity in water. Baking soda does that. That's why in chemo, even when my father was getting chemo and he had a port, the first thing they flushed that port out with before they dispersed chemo was baking soda. Now, it raises the alkalinity in water. Be careful with your tummy because it doesn't work. It doesn't fare well in some people's tummy. But if you add baking soda to your water, it is an anti-carcinogen. It gets rid of cancer. I did it with my dogs. The lesions are gone. They all disappeared and dissipated. I did it myself. I'm a clinical studier. I've worked as a scientist in a lab. That's why I do things like that. I do it very methodical. I'm I'm very cautious about things, and I feel things out. That's just what I do. So I healed my dogs doing that, but I'm just giving you that as a fact that that's what I did. Be careful with the endocrine system of each dog. It worked with my dogs, and it's 2 different breeds of dogs, and it worked fine. Murphy Lee had no other seizure from then. Grateful, and hopefully it'll stay like that. And also China's lesions on her skin and on her buttocks totally dissipated and disappeared, the one on her buttocks. So I just want to share that with you. Oh, you can see the sun? Okay, so, but would it cause urine crystals in animals? It did not. That's why I did it at a very slow rate. I wanted to see what the effects were with the dogs. Also, I wanted to see, you know, I watched, you know, I'm a caretaker of animals. I've done that before. I used to ride horses and take care of horses when I was in my youth. So I do know what to do as far as looking things out and being cautious. I love them. So I wouldn't do for them what I wouldn't do for my own or myself. So I'm very cautious with that. I would never experiment with their life, you know, but, you know, it scared me when Murphy Lee had a seizure. And I also know dogs that get a little older tend to get gross on their brains, a lot of times cats as well. So, you know, I worked it, worked, and I was grateful. And I'm grateful that, you know, I want them to be with me, and they've been with me since I've been, you know, they've been in every home with me. They've been with me for babies. Those are my children, you know. They feel like my family. I want them well. Can you do a show on pet foods? I don't know if that's a show. You want a show on that, pet foods? I just feed them. I feed them wet food, and I feed them dry food. Always did. Will the baking soda work for abscesses too? To my Miss Dancy, I'm not a doctor. I want to say this. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a mom, and I've been in the horticultural, naturopathic, and holistic community for over 20 years. So for me, it worked. That's what I did. So I say that it worked for the lesions because that's what it did for my dogs. You know, that's it. So I can just say based on what I do, it worked for my dogs, and I'm grateful for that. So I just share it with you so that you know, because I think it was something I wanted to do. I wanted to prolong their lives, but I want to make sure they have a happy life. I'm not just prolonging it just to keep them around for my own selfishness. I want them to be able to eat and be happy and still play, and they still are like that, you know. So I wanted to add that to you. So, you know, and you know, I make my own deodorant with baking soda, coconut oil, and I'm allergic to coconut oil a little bit, so I started to use avocado oil, and that's it. And I use that underneath my arms, and I've used that for years, and I smell like a goddess. Anyway, so there you go, family. Just cut out the starches. When I say cut out the starches, get them out. And if you do starches, do it once in a blue. Like, if you like, I'm not a big French fry fan. I like them. I'm not a big potato fan. I notice that people from the South or certain places eat a lot of potatoes. From the Midwest, y'all eat a lot of potatoes. I'm just saying, it's got you stiffened. And if you want to free yourself from the entrainment and from the cap, the conscious cap, you're going to have to change some of your dietary habits. And we live in a food culture that is based in mind control. And starches are one of them. Starch stiffens you. It causes arthritic problems. Most people from Caribbean areas, especially the Latino community, who are very sensitive, Latino people who are mixed with a lot of the indigenous are hypersensitive to the starches, and they end up having a lot of arthritis problems as they get older. And it's based on the fact that they eat too many rice and beans. Beans is has a lot of arsenic too. Eating beans and rice. And listen, you're not getting this from somebody who hasn't been a part of the vegetarian vegan community. You're getting this from someone who's been a part of this community before it was a fad. Y'all are dealing with vegetarian veganism now. I've been part of that when it wasn't even a concept 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. So for that reason, I'm just letting you know that when I tell you things, I'm coming from a place of knowing, gaining wisdom. That's just what it is. And I just know for a fact that people who eat a lot of rice and beans who are vegetarian and vegans have a lot of arthritic problems, a lot of arthritis problems, a lot of bone and back problems. They end up having issues. Beans is very, you got to soak them, as you know. You should never do any canned anything. I hope you guys are not doing canned anything. I hope you're you've superseded anything past cans, because cans leaches. I don't care what they seal it in, it bleaches metals. You shouldn't mess with any canned things. But as far as beans, I've never done rice and beans. My mother used to make it. I didn't mess with it then. I didn't mess with the rice then. I'm not a fan of rice. If you see me eat rice, it's once in a blue. When I say rice, like once every 6 months, and that's not because of my choice. It's maybe because of a mate or somebody who likes it. I don't mess with rice, and I don't serve it to my children like that. Not at all. And cans, no. For all these people who tend to want to, prep and do all these canned things, what are you doing cans for? You should just have things, dried things in containers, glass containers, natural pottery kind of containers. If you're going to hold things for a long period of time, all rice has arsenic. Just like I tell you to do pine needles for vitamin C, like the Native Americans did. Pine needles have arsenic. You have to wash it. That's why people wash it. Leave rice on the table wet. Look at the smell that you get. That tells you what it is. Okay? You just have to be mindful, like them pasteurizing everything. People want to drink milk. I tell people, if you're going to drink milk, why are you drinking pasteurized milk? What's the point of it? That's just all you're drinking is pus, because all milk is pus. If you're going to drink milk, and get the benefits from it, why aren't you drinking raw milk? When I was living near the farm, when I was farming with my babies, I told you I had one newborn and one little one. Newborn, I grew most of my food, and I would go to the farms. Now the farms had raw milk. It's considered illegal, but why do you think they considered it illegal? So you could do fair exchange. So you didn't buy the milk because he couldn't sell it to you legally for that way, but he could give it to you. Raw milk. A lot of the mothers were giving themselves raw cheeses, raw yogurts, and raw milk. Those babies were healthy. If you're giving dairy to your children, it should be raw. If you're drinking orange juice, it should be raw. It shouldn't be pasteurized. What's the point of you drinking orange juice to get vitamin C if you're drinking it pasteurized? That's why when you go to Whole Foods has a place where you can juice your own oranges. And oranges are not natural either. In the Caribbean, we have green oranges. Your oranges are orange. Our oranges in the Caribbean are green. Our native oranges are not orange, they are green. These oranges that are orange are not, they are genetically modified. Real oranges from tropical areas don't look like oranges. That's why I'm saying it's a setup. Our oranges are green, and they are a little more bittered. And you got to get your children off of things that are sweet, because they even put sugar in toothpaste. They put sugar in everything. Sugar is more addictive than drugs. It is a drug. Refined sugars and sugar are all drugs. So if you're going to do things, you should get your children adapted to bitters. When my little ones were little, I used to juice and give them sips of the juice, the green juice. You still don't. I got pictures on my Facebook. You see them when they were babies. They had like green juice all over their face. They got acclimated to bitters. Bitters in the Caribbean, and this is big up to my Caribbean family and my family from Central and South America. A lot of us grow up eating things with bitters. Bitters is what gets rid of parasites too. That's why people are doing that turpentine thing. We used to eat a lot of things with bitters, or take things with bitters. A grapefruit, yeah, it gets rid of parasites, and it's also good for your endocrine system. So you want to do bitters. Get your children off of addiction to sugars, and get them acclimated to bitters. And it's very difficult if you wait too long for your babies. That's why I tell new mothers, get the babies used to having a little juice, fresh juice. Get them used to the bitters taste. Because once they get that in their system, they will know it heals themselves. Why do you think dogs eat grass and cats eat grass to fix their stomach? It's the kind of bitterness that comes with that. Bitters are the most important thing for your endocrine system. And that's one thing they don't promote in society. I forgot, this is like the Jamaican one. What is it called? There's this Jamaican bitter. I forgot what it's called. I buy it. It's called root something. Oh, what is it called? I bought it. I buy it every once in a while. I forgot. Yeah, bitters. So you can buy bitters. So Fleur, how can I get beans in the manner you describe? Beans, you can go get beans at any of the natural stores. Sometimes they have it in bins. Sometimes they have the beans in boxes. You can get beans in boxes, but you got to soak them and cook them. Don't be a lazy person. If you're gonna deal with food, you have to be. If you're not gonna eat it raw and eat it off the tree and the vine, then you have to be mindful and careful of how you have to be able to cook things and cultivate things. So beans, you should be able to buy them in little boxes. They sell them in boxes in Whole Foods and in all the other holistic stores. You can get them out of bins and put them in your own bags yourself, or your own containers yourself. And you should soak your beans overnight so that you get all the gases and all that, that what is it, that that gas out of it. You know, you get it out and then you clean that water, put fresh water again, soak it a little bit, and then you cook it slowly. But you shouldn't be doing beans every day either, because beans is arsenic. You know, causes problems with bones and your bone marrow. You know, it's the same thing with apples. You know, they were promoting apples. There's apples in everything. I don't give my children apples. Apple cider, apples. You look at every juice that they have, there's apples and everything. When my mother took me to the doctor when I was little, I think I told you, the pediatrician, my mother was giving me apple juice with water. The doctor said, oh no, apple juice. And the pediatrician said to my mother when I was about 3 or 4, that she said to my mother, or was it he? No, he said to my mother, stop giving her apple juice. It will stunt her growth. Listen to me, family. I can't make this up. He told her that giving me too many apple juice would stunt my growth. When have you ever heard a pediatrician tell you that to this day? And then you look at the food culture and they're perpetrating apple juice and everything for little people. Applesauce, apple pies. Look at all the juices for little people. And I'm talking to mothers. Look at all the juices for little people. I bet you can't find one with that apple added to it, even though it says berry juice. All you see, well, apples and things. Why do you see apples and everything? An apple day. Why do you think in every movie they tell you what the apple is? Every poison apple. Why they tell you the poison apple in every movie? Sleeping Beauty. Why do you think they tell you that? They're telling you what the apple is. It is a poison for most of you. It will stop the growth of your children. Some children grow, but how tall could they grow? It does something to their bones. I'm just saying, look at food culture. Anything that they're perpetrating to you, you best believe there's a demon behind it. They're not here for your betterment and your health. But if you look at movies, they tell you who they are. Every movie you see a poison apple. It's telling you. So I make sure with the girls, the only juice that's good for the little people, I only do, and it's always gone. Listen to me, family. I'm not the only one who knows. That's how you know there's others who know. You know, I obsess with things too, but I get Honest Kids, and I only get the grape juice. It's little grape, you know, it looks like little purple grapes, and it's the only one of Honest Kids that does not have added apple juice. Listen to me, family. It's the only one that does not have added apples, and it is always gone off the shelves because there are others like us who know this. You think it's more sinister than you can imagine. They sneak things in. All the products now that I vested out in Whole Foods, when I first moved up here, Whole Foods had more, you know, when they sold some of their industry and went into bed with Monsanto, I read the ingredients now in Whole Foods of things that I had used for years. It cannot be trusted. Don't trust the ingredients. Don't think because you read it one time that the ingredients is the same. They change ingredients and you don't even know. They're not going to make an announcement to you. Goat's milk is good in that they don't really chemicalize goats too much. They usually don't put as many things in goats. Goats are one of the animals, but be careful of goat's milk because goats has a higher soluble fat content. And if you're living in regions where colds and flus are around, if you give yourself, you know, some children can't tolerate cow's milk. No child should tolerate cow's milk, but goat milk is a little better. But you will have more of a tendency to build up that mucus with goat's milk. It makes you more build up more mucus, but it's better for you as far as non-chemicalizing. That's why goat's milk is more expensive. There's another bison milk. You can't buy. Nobody knows about that. There's bison milk. I talked about my indigenous people drinking the bison milk. You were like, Fireburn, how do you know about bison milk? Bison milk is sold. You want to go see the price of bison milk. Go see the price of it. They can't drug these bison, but go see how much it is, and you'll be like, how come it's so much? Just like eggs, quail eggs are expensive. Who's eating quail eggs? All the bougie, they're not elite. All those who have the income to support a higher, healthier system because they know what they don't want you to know. Okay? I'm dishing you the tea. I hope you are drinking it because I'm not giving it to you hot, but I'm giving it to you fresh. So I'm just saying, watch what you do. Oh, what does my typical meal look like? Okay. Like a breakfast for me, depending on my little people, because remember, little people are I have little people who eat very differently. One little person, I was a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian with my eldest, so she likes more vegetarian food. My baby, my little one, baby in a bag, it's my baby in a bag, my little one likes more vegan type food. So, and she's allergic to eggs. Go figure. She's allergic to eggs. See, the vegan one, it has allergies to the things that mommy didn't consume when I was a vegan. Okay, so sometimes that happens. So what I usually do is I do fresh fruits in the morning. I try to do berries. It's not really berry season, so I always do fresh strawberries. I remember I had a 1/4 of an acre of raspberry that I raised my babies on. Remember that, in Pennsylvania. I raised my children on a farm, and I had 1/4 of an acre. They love fresh raspberries. They can't get that fresh raspberries that I had, and I can't seem to grow it here well. But I always do fresh raspberries. I make spelt, I either make spelt muffins sometimes, or I make spelt pancakes or spelt waffles for them in the morning. When my little one was a vegetarian, when she was little, I only did brown eggs, and I only did eggs that I bought from the farm that day for my little one. Oh, see, Laconia looked at a bison milk. See, people think I'm lying. Bison milk is $15. Thank you, Laconia. When you think I'm playing, I tell you, I know more than you. I'm exposed to a world of beings from the highest to, I wouldn't consider the lowest, but people who are more limited in finances. And yeah, I do that. They don't really like the, I do teff. I also do teff, flat teff bread. My little ones like that, so I do teff. Teff is from Ethiopia. The Ethiopians eat the teff. Teff is a nice texture too, so I add teff sometimes to my spelt goods, anything I make. That's like for breakfast. For lunch, we do like fresh fruits, like diced. One likes peaches. I'll do diced peaches. Do hummus with celery. What else? I do. For lunch, I'll do like I make I used to do what's that company? There's a company. I buy their stuff. Like I'll do oh goodness, it's a mock meatballs and stuff. Sometimes I forgot. I always use them. Kern, but Kern is no longer good. I wouldn't suggest Kern. I do Kern for a while because now they do vegan, but Kern at the beginning was vegetarian. So Kern has really nice meatballs. It has mock chicken McNuggets and things like that. I do Kern I loved for a long time. I don't like them as much anymore because of some of the stuff they were using, the wheat germ, the type of mixture that they were utilizing to make their goods was like a type of fungus, and I found that it caused gastric issues for me, so I don't really mess with that. For dinner, I make a host of things. Like I make my own cream sauces to make they love artichoke. I do artichoke meals with like mock pasta. I make my own pasta sometimes when I'm feeling like I have enough time, so I make spelt pasta myself. I can buy it too, but I can make spelt pasta. They don't really like the kamut pasta, my little ones, so I don't do kamut pastas, things like that. I do the I make my own zucchini pasta. They love that with like a little cream sauce that I make. I don't really do nuts anymore because my little one has an allergy to almonds, so I gotta stay away from any nuts. She's also allergic to cashews, so I gotta stay away from any of those things. So I've kind of mocked my own version of that. They love. I do bok choy and I do cabbage sometimes with a meal. I do I stew it. And I love to do, one of my little ones likes raw, she likes raw okra. She likes raw okra with tamari sauce. So I don't do tamari anymore, but I do raw okra. She loves raw okra, and I do like this one sauce. It's like a tamari sauce, but it's non-soy, and I put it on top, and she likes it raw. So I dice my okra. My oldest one doesn't like it, but my young one loves raw okra. Me too. I love it. Like whenever I have a day and I just feel like I want something chewy and crispy, but like raw okra, you dice it up and you put I put sea salt on it. Sometimes I put a little lime. I don't mess with lemons. I only do key limes. I don't mess with big limes. I mess with key limes. Key limes are natural. So I do that with a little key lime. I make this thing that, well, I tell you, mushrooms, be careful with nightshades, but I do mushrooms. I do my own jerk mushrooms with peppers and with mango. And I make that into a wrap. And I make my wrap out of stuff with teff and spelt. So I just make a lot of things. Yeah, okra can be slimy. Not everybody likes okra like that, but my little one likes it and I love it. Raw with like sauce on top with sea salt and a little bit of lime, key lime. So I don't mess with nuts. And any milk that I do, I told you I do the Good Karma, the seed milk. I do Good Karma. It's flaxseed milk. It's yummy. If you have little ones that are very fussy, they will love this milk. I'm telling you, they will love this milk. So it's called Good Karma flaxseed. It's yummy. And when they want hot cocoa or anything like that, I don't do cocoa. I do Keiko, and I do that with vegan. These vegan marshmallows. They love it. I did it. If you're on my Facebook, you see the stuff I make for my little ones, and once in a while you can see the dishes I make. Yeah, I can mock any West Indian dish. I can make any West Indian dish taste like God that you eat, like saltfish. I can mock saltfish and ackee and saltfish, vegan style. I can mock jerk chicken, vegan style. And when I tell you, like I said, I'm about this life, but I like food. As you see, I'm a thickums. So you see, I enjoy eating, and not all vegetarians and vegans are thin, and it doesn't make us less healthy. I'm just a woman of a certain age. Remember, I've had children. Whenever I need to lower my calorie intake, I can do that. My body goes back to the source, but I'm always going to be a thickums regardless. I'm okay with my body. Yeah, ackee and saltfish, I can mock it. I have a picture on my Facebook, my regular Facebook. I have it. All the dishes that I made, that I mocked, remember I went through stages. I made all the pictures. Somebody wanted me to make a recipe book, which I should, of all the mocked West Indian dishes that I make. I make it like God. I have people who are meat eaters who come to my house just for my food because they love it. And they taste just like what they eat. And they don't feel sick afterwards. They feel good. So I'm just saying, maybe I'll write that book. Somebody tried to help me write a book. I'm all over the place, and that would be a book that you guys would enjoy. Yeah, I would definitely, because it's thebomb.com. And again, it comes from me being from a certain age. It comes from me being exposed to it. So, culturally, I'm an island girl. I love food. I can make things taste like anything. I've been a part of the vegan and vegetarian world for over 30 years. On and off, but consistently for over 20 years. But over 30 years I've been a part of the vegan community, so I can mock anything. So maybe I'll do it. Oh, thank you. I'll do it. And when I get time, I have time to do it, but I need to focus a little more. I'm focused on the sanctuary, but maybe I could do that because it'll help fund. Maybe I can take all the funds from the book and make it fund the sanctuary. That'd actually be smart. Anyway, sorry family. Beyond Meat is all right too. Anyway, family, I hope this was helpful for you. Try to be mindful of your starches. Just, know that you are being consistently perpetuated. Things are being perpetrated with you without your knowledge. Just know that food culture is part of the way that they utilize to mind control you. And if you understand that, and you get it, then you will take power back, and you will be able to, break out of the chains and the control systems that have always kept us under a level of control. All right, so I love you. Have a masterful day. Our weather is clearing up here. I'm gonna go do my laundry today. Today's Sunday. On Sunday I do all my domesticated mommy things, so I'm gonna go do that and make sure my nieces are gonna eat their lunch. All right, peace family.